Welcome to Field Trials, a future farming webcast exploring innovations, issues, and perspectives in new farm technology. This is Matt, your Canadian farm kid and journalist host. Thanks for tuning in. From ransomware and data theft and other politically motivated actions, the global food system is particularly vulnerable to cyber attacks. In this Field Trials discussion, Dehghantanha, professor at the University of Guelph and director of the school's Cybersecurity lab, explain how the farm and food industry is adapting to cyber threats, emerging trends, and the need for broad cooperation between farmers, companies, and wider institutions. All right, cool. Well, thanks, Ali, for chatting about this. Yeah, so cybersecurity in the ag and food sector, big topic. It's discussed a lot, I would say, increasingly so, and for good reason. But we've been talking about it for a while, and I'm just wondering what, from your perspective, from your background, and just personally, where you think we're at in terms of our understanding and putting into practice strategies to manage threats. We've seen a variety of very high level, not just in the Canadian context, but globally, a variety of really high level attacks or instances, I guess you could say, on big players in the ag and food sector. The one that sticks in my mind is JBS Meats, but there's plenty of other ones. Where are we at in terms of the conversation and in terms of the actual effort and reaction on the part of the industry, various industries in this space, to actually try and make progress?
Right. I mean, first time that we have been engaged on an attack on a dairy was in 2018, like in November, December 2018. That was a data breach, and then sold on the dark web. So the dairy owner have been notified by the RCMP, the law enforcement agencies, right? It is on sale, and they have asked for help to identify how that has happened, right? And since then, only the number and the severity of the attacks have been increased. So, for example, in 2019, I remember that we had like 4 or 5 cases that has been reported to us, and we were engaged in the investigation.
And just to clarify, so that's 4 or 5 within like a Canadian context, though,
within
right?
Canadian, which is, I would say, within even South Ontario only. That's like the main area that we are active on, right? And then and only those in the ag and food. So they were like either food processing or agriculture, right? Farmers, right? That I'm talking about. But for example, in 2022, we had 16 cases that we addressed, right? And in 2023, we are like 7 months into it, and the number of cases is over 20 already, right? That clearly shows that things are changing, right? And I can tell you that this is attributed to a few things. First is back in 2018 and 2019, when I was talking with the farmers that have been compromised, and they were not even aware that they have been compromised, because they usually get alerted once their data are posted somewhere, right, by a third party. That's okay. They were thinking that all of the cybersecurity is the duty of the vendors, and when they're supposed to do that. I have seen that this has been shifted significantly in the past year or so, right? That now the farmers and the food processing, I would say, companies are understanding that that's their business. They would be liable, and they need to think about it, right?
Yeah,
that's the nice shift that you would see happen in the last few years, right? In this sense, and the other thing is. With the Bill C-25 and others that are coming, C-16, that are like on privacy, right, in cybersecurity, anyone who is working in Canada in any sector should, start thinking about the cybersecurity and privacy, right, and what they need to report, what they need to monitor. And when we have a higher level of monitoring, of course, there will be more attacks detected, right?
Yeah.
So, back in 2018, 2019, we we would not be able to detect an attack unless the attackers come public or try to sell the data. So you would be aware, right, of what has been happened. But these days, I am receiving a lot of contacts, queries, questions from the farmers that have been compromised, and they identify themselves that we are under the attack. We have been compromised, right? Dairy farms. So that shift that I have seen happening in the market, right, in terms of the cybersecurity in the ag specifically. But from the attacker's point of view, these days, in the past couple of years, ransomware become very significant or very profound type of attack that we are seeing in this sector, growing in this sector, like other sectors, right? Because mainly data breaches, no focus is a lot more on ransomware, right? And that's more activities by cyber criminals. Then we are having a state-sponsored hacking groups like APT26, which is a Chinese hacking group, Orange Worm, which is like an Iranian hacking group. That's they still keep their interests on the Canadian food and ag sector infrastructure, right? And they're active. So, for example, when we go investigate sites for ransomware or for data breach, we are seeing tracks of these state-sponsored hacking groups compromise these devices or have been on these devices in the past, right? So I haven't seen much changes. So we are still seeing only Chinese and Iranian state-sponsored hacking groups being active in this industry in Canada. I mean, yeah, in North America, I would say, because we are looking at other reports as well, right? But from the cyber criminal point of view, there was a shift that they're moving from data breaches more to ransomware because it's easier to monetize.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and it was mentioned to me very recently that I might have this wrong, but particularly with ransomware, the ability to actually get kind of up and ready to go ransomware products that you can literally just go buy one and in the shady parts of the internet, and then you can go use it, wherever it is that you want. Like that's just something people are doing now, which is terrifying. But that's how easy it is now, and that's why we're seeing so many more cases. Like globally, we're seeing so many more cases.
That's right. I mean, ransomware as a service is no a mature, I would say, industry. A couple of years ago, there were still some issues, but now they have figured out everything. So you could go to one of these places on the darknet, subscribe, get your version of the ransomware, drop it, and then you will receive your commission as the victim is paying, right? So that becomes much more easier. That's one thing. And the other thing, specifically about the ag sector, is as other industries like the healthcare, like the energy, are now trying to make their environments more and more secure, there are less low-hanging fruit for the hackers on those industries. So now they are pushing their attention to the less protected, less secure. So I had a meeting like a couple of weeks ago with the FACC, the Federal Association of Canada Ag, right? And I was telling them that the state that I can see on the ag sector is like the health sector 4 or 5 years ago, that we were keep giving warning that you are vulnerable, attackers are out there, but they were like in the state of denial that no one is going to impact our healthcare center, etc., etc. Until it happens, right? So we are seeing the exact same thing on the ag and dairy and all these sectors. The people keep asking that who would be interested, but once they get compromised, they understand who is interested, right? On doing so. Level of readiness in this sector is quite low. So you would see a lot of farming stations, a lot of food processing and instant response plan, right, in place. They don't know what they should do when there is a cyber attack, right? Set aside, talking how to remediate, how to talk with the insurance companies, right? How to manage the risk, right? So yeah. These are like the observations.
That's good in a lot of ways, though, because to me that's as much as you say the sector in general, where we're in a lot of ways unprepared. I like the way you're describing it in terms of saying like we're kind of where the health sector was X number of years ago. But also there's a lot of positive in there, I think, that you highlighted, where people are being more aware. There's more reporting going on. They're just on an individual level anyway, definitely being more open about it. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I hope you got something out of the conversation. As ever, the idea is to explore topics, items, and perspectives in the ag tech space. So if you're interested in sharing your own perspective and joining us for a conversation, feel free to get in touch with the Future Farming team at futurefarming.com. You can also reach me directly at FurRural on Twitter. That's at FERRURAL on Twitter, or via ruralphilosopher.com. Thanks again for listening.